Welcome to Inside the Coded Economy. I'm Bailey Rayner, your host. I've spent my career at the intersection of painting and technology, helping bridge the gap between the hands that hold the brush and the system that makes their work scalable. This podcast is for anyone who loves this industry but knows we can do better. Faster estimates, smarter marketing, and tools that make painters more profitable and professional. So today we have Kelsey Stuart from Bloom & Blinds. He's the founder of Bloom & Blinds and is now a franchise consultant. He's here to make people's lives better. We've known Kelsey for probably 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, right, like a few years. And I feel like we've just kind of clicked right away. You and your brother, you guys are fantastic guys. I think you guys are very knowledgeable, down to earth, and extremely hardworking individuals, which is wonderful, you know, in this industry, finding people like that. And I know that, you know, you and Zach have bounced ideas back and forth. I've talked with your brother and some other members of the business on like software solutions. I mean, there's a lot of things that I feel like we all kind of relate to. And, you know, we've always just enjoyed being around you. So glad to have you here. So on the call today, we're going to go over basically the economy of the home service industry, ups and downs, the shortcomings, how technology has been absent and now making its way into the industry, how it's impacting customers as well as, you know, users or owners, how AI is changing the game, what it's actually providing, and do you need to worry about your job, right? That's what everybody keeps asking, like, am I getting replaced? And then as advice for the owners on building and scaling their businesses. I know that's something that we're very passionate about here at FM Flow, innovating ideas, ways to bring in more work opportunity for the owners, and establishing partnerships with larger organizations for the greater good of the professionals that are out there. And then we'll finish up with some rapid fire questions. So I hope you're ready. Okay.
Oh, goody.
Those are always so fun. I threw in some fun ones in there for you. So we'll kick it off with this first segment, which is basically the state of the home service industry. What have you seen as traditional challenges faced by the home services with like labor, workflow insufficiencies, competition? Like, what have you been up against with your industry, you know, and however many like past, I don't even know, how long have you been in this?
Oh, Bloom started in 2001 and I joined, my mom started that. And so she was a one-woman show for just a couple months. And then very quickly myself and my brother jumped in. So I've been in home services since 2002.
Okay.
You and I, yeah, right. Like kind of the heyday. Mm-hmm. Well, and honestly, starting that early, that was right after 9/11. To be able to start a business in that economic shadow kind of helped validate that it was a good idea. We had components that worked in a down economy, and then of course every business works in a hot economy. So it was kind of a good time to start. It's funny because franchise owners always ask, like, is it better to start in a hot cycle or a slow cycle? And everyone wants to start when it's hot, but honestly, like, you learn the most and you grow the most, you develop your skills the fastest when things are challenging and tough. Character and quality are kind of developed when things are hard. It's not when things go easy. And for you guys, like, you guys serve, Painter Bros in particular services the commercial side of business, where Bloom & Blinds is heavily residential. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I was going to say is a headwind that we're facing is the erosion of disposable income, because on the household side, disposable income absolutely drives the elective choices of window coverings, mm-hmm. whether it's installing or repairing or changing or moving. All those things are really dependent upon disposable income, but large-scale commercial accounts, while harder to get, have a heck of a lot more stability.
Yeah.
So I think on a macroeconomic environment, I think that there's many facets to it, but that disposable income piece is one of the harder ones for us.
Do you see it? Do you see the trend kind of happening before the rest of us maybe see the trend of like, all right, we can see things are shifting, the economy is dropping, or like, does it?
I love the economic side of things. I never really got into it on a student or professional level, but it is a subject that I have a rabid appetite for. And I don't know if that was just because it's protectionary or if it's just that dealing of finance and human nature. And those are also things that I just am naturally drawn towards. The challenge is, what do you do when you see those early indicators and you're hoping they're not true? You have other people that are around you, in our case, franchise owners, that are really hoping it's not true. And yet you see the headwinds coming and you want to prepare people for battle. And that's been a challenge for us because you want to keep that positive, upbeat momentum, but you also got to be very real about what you're going to walk into, because anyone who's been in business for a while has the ups and downs. Yeah. To pretend that they're not going to happen is kind of a fool's errand. So it's better to be prepared.
As far as, I like what you said with the down economy, I feel like you definitely have to fine tune things, right? As far as quality of work, quality of customers, probably. Did you guys ever struggle with like labor or finding labor or anything? Or?
Well, I think finding labor is probably a challenge for just about any industry that isn't singularly owner operator. As soon as YouTube and TikTok and all these other places, like the youth of America aren't being groomed to work with their hands. We've taken out wood shop, we've taken out auto mechanics and home ec and sewing. All those things have been removed from early childhood education, and it's been all replaced with digital entertainment. And so there's very few kids that are growing up thinking that it's respectable and that it's a goal to be chased after in terms of any sort of, service element, anything to do with working with your hands. And society's changed that way too. I mean, everyone's on Excel instead of a pen and paper. So I'm not here saying that we're getting everything wrong, but I think we're definitely building ourselves into a labor problem. And if we're going to get into it, I think we're, 10 years away from that problem being solved by robotics, because people won't do it themselves. And as soon as the dexterity of a robot gets there, like, they're no longer going to have a choice. And that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, well, so there's actually another section there where we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So I like that you brought it up, started on that conversation. You mentioned also like the technology, right? So instead of pen and paper, we're using Excel spreadsheets. Why do you think, and I have an idea, but why do you think that technology was so slow to be brought into the service industry? Like, we still have people fighting to use the app and use the estimation tools, and like, well, it's just in my head. But like, why do you think that is? Kind of a fight.
Again, most of my education or information is about the window covering industry, but I think it applies pretty consistently against home service. The era or the generation that built the home service economy, they're now in their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yep.
And beyond, right?
Yep.
And there seems to be some point within life's journey where you just say, you know what, I'm done innovating. Most get to a point where, you hear parents or grandparents say, like, I'm too old to learn that, or I don't want to try and learn something new. And I think that's really kind of the root of the issue here, is that, people are very habitual. They like their ruts. I would say most individuals live in a rut of some kind or another. And there's familiarity and there's consistency and there's predictability in it. And I think, like, back to like primal concepts, like, humans are trying to maintain safety and security at our core. And rituals and habits and those pre-existing expectations that come from the ruts. Those are all like genetically baked into our survival. And there's a handful of people out there like you and me and others that lead the way that instinctually look for that next opportunity. But that's the few and the far between. That's the minority.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it is just that they're happy in their old ways, and it worked enough to get me here. And why do I want to go through that learning curve?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I do think that it was probably more common with the older generations to go out, work with your hands, like you said, and they started their own businesses. And I think your average construction worker is 55 and older. And then you get the next generation, us millennials, where they said, go to college, get a job. And we completely erased trades out of it. And now they're coming back to my kids. And I like what you brought up with, they took a lot of those trade works out of schools, which they did. And now they're starting to bring it back and like, oh my gosh, we messed up, or we don't have any more tradesmen. And so now they're going after, my kids that are in high school and say, we need you to do trade work. I think because of that, they've only ever grown up with technology. And so you have to build in technology for that next generation. So these guys that are stuck in their ways, they're going to be retiring in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And now we have to have, there does have to be a bridge.
Yeah, and I think like the pendulum got swung too far. And I think it's coming back to the middle. I think those that have those, old school paper-based businesses are still, they've probably got just enough room to leg it out into retirement or into their, final sunset chapter.
Yeah.
If somebody's 50 and still running a business on paper, they've got too much time left in running their business to not adapt. But someone who's 68 or 74, you've got your 5 to 10 years left, and you can probably squeeze it out before you're forced to, kind of come to the middle.
Yeah, we kind of made a joke with our marketing on FM Flow. We're like, okay, if you can't figure out how to use the technology or you don't want to, that's okay. But hire somebody that can, because let them do it for you. And we actually do that. Funny enough, with the Painter Bros, our average franchise owners 45 and older, and they're like, oh my God, technology, I can't figure it out. But then you get the 20-year-olds that come in, this is the best thing ever. I told our guys, I'm like, look, if you can't figure out how to use the tech, fine, hire somebody that can so you can run your business and operate it. But you're going to need somebody to figure this out, because everybody is adapting to technology. We have so many apps and everything's done on our phones now, and you got to start to adapt.
So, something I find very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it plays out in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm 49. I've got 2 daughters that are 13 and 16. So 8th grader and a junior in high school. Mm-hmm. And they will use AI, they will use technology a little bit, but they sure as heck don't want to jump in and embrace it at this age, because of those 45-year-olds and 55-year-olds that are interested in building a business in today's economy, we're geeking out over this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. We're making images, we're playing on our phone. We don't know the answer to who was the 17th president, so we just get on ChatGPT and figure it out real fast. As an adult, you don't have to wonder about anything anymore.
Yeah.
Life's question marks can be solved, especially if it's data or facts. But my kids roll their eyes at me when I talk about AI, when I talk about how it's going to impact their world. So because the olds are geeking out over it, the youngest ones are actually pushing away from it.
That's interesting. I mean, I feel like I did the same thing, when the digital letters came out on email, right? Back in dial-up ages. And we're like, you got a birthday card. And oh my gosh, I remember my parents and grandparents always sending out those digital cards. This is so stupid, because they did it. I was like, I'm never going to do this again.
And now you have 432 emails in your inbox.
Oh my gosh, I don't even want to talk about how many a day I get. Shifting gears a little bit, what's real versus the hype? I think a lot of people think Hollywood's probably ruined us, where we think that AI is doing all these other things, but it's actually really only here. So what do you see is real versus what's a hype out there right now with AI?
I think AI really started hot on the hype. And, I can say even in Blue and Blinds, like we got going on it hard and heavy. We thought we struck gold early and we were going to get first mover advantage. Like I thought we were going to be years ahead of everyone else. Mm-hmm. And we thought it was far enough along that you could really trust it to autonomously do things on its own. Okay. Effectively to think on its own. And I think a lot of people really assumed that. I know a lot of corporations spent a lot of money trying to roll AI into infrastructure and workflows and just the workplace in general.
Yeah.
Thinking, and everyone, a lot of people were worried about losing their jobs, thinking that AI was good enough or evolved or high enough quality that it could literally do the human element of our thinking, of our ideation, of our creativity.
Yeah.
And I think that was because there was a lot of hype, or you had a lot of people selling that dream.
Yeah.
And then very quickly, and here in the last 6 months particularly, I think the world's starting to wake up that no, it is in fact a tool. Yeah. It is a thing to use. It is not your replacement or something that you can just hand the keys to your kingdom and expect that it's going to know what to do or know how to conduct itself in a way that you would.
Well, so I think a lot of people on that, they don't know how AI actually works, like its own brain. But yeah, it's like it doesn't know if it doesn't know. It can't make up a word or a scenario that it was never told to even consider. And I think that's where people are like, well, it thinks on its own. It makes all these things. And it's like, it can't. You have to tell it, but it can evolve based off of what you program into it. It can evolve, right? Just like when we read a book, we read, here's one word, but good, but there's great, and then there's exceptional, right? Like there's different variations, and it starts to figure out when to use those words or programs, right?
Yeah, it's an extremely elaborate regurgitator.
That's a very good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah.
I just made that up. So I think
it's accurate though. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Because it has to, it only spits out what it already knew.
Yes.
Or what it can puzzle together from different sources, but that's the context. That's the part that makes it feel like a brain, is that it just doesn't have that creative engine. It's not truly creative. And the parts where it's trying, especially with like imagery and whatnot, it still doesn't have the whole picture. And that's why you end up with 6 fingers, or that's why you end up with, something that just doesn't fit the context of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I think the pendulum swung way far to one side. Now it's coming into the middle. And I think there's a better understanding of how AI works. I still think the general population is using, a fraction of its potential.
Yes.
I know, companies have lost a gazillion dollars and momentum and time trying to automate things. Corporations are always going to chase the most profitable avenue.
Yeah.
And so I think all of that's got kind of a slingshot too far. Now it's starting to come back to the middle. But in a year, 2 years from now, it is going to be that good. So just as everyone gets used to it being like, oh, it's a tool, then no, now it's got enough training. Now it's got enough context. Now it's seen enough that it is actually going to come in and like kick everyone's ass.
You brought up like the robot thing, right? And I mean, robotics is being used in a lot of different industries. Do you think it's going to replace like blind installation or painting or fixing HVAC or like being on a roof? And I think there's some positives to some of those things, right? Safety. But like, what do you What do you think?
Well, I think there's a handful of things that are going to have to occur. Do I think it's going to happen? Yes. As a business owner, I can employ somebody who's got sick days and attitude, highs and lows, and all the variations that come with employees, and I can hire them at $25 per hour for and hope they stay for a while. Or I can buy what is now currently a $30,000 robot once and not have to worry about sick days.
Just if it breaks. So hopefully somebody knows how to fix the robot.
That's a whole new industry, guaranteed. I think you have two things. Well, at minimum, two things, and this is how we were thinking about it at Bloom and Blinds. Is first off, you got to have the dexterity. You've got to have that fingertip opposing thumb. The ability to carefully hold a paintbrush in a way that adapts to how much paint is on the brush in that moment. Mm-hmm. Right. So there's a lot of awareness and dexterity that's required. But then I think, spatial mapping, we were investigating and leaning into what's called point cloud. It's like on the Waymos, if anyone's listening, watching this, the cars that are self-driving, mm-hmm. They've got all the little cameras that are on the fenders, on the roof, everything. It's constantly taking this picture of X, Y, and Z coordinates. And so we were looking for a way to try and map out a room so that we knew exactly where the corners were, so that when we go to install a blind or the brackets that hold them up, as long as you know those coordinates, then you could program that into a robot and it would know exactly where to put things. So the mapping of your environment coordinated with the task that needs to be done, I think that's like an analytical area or frontier that still has to be really mastered.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, towards profitability, towards safety, towards dependability, business owners are going to chase and pursue the pathway that has the least amount of friction and the most amount of upside. Mm-hmm. And I think by and large, robots will eventually provide that service where it's the greatest benefit to the business owner. I think we're a ways away.
You look at the interesting thing with technology is once you start building it, the advancements start to come quicker. But I agree with you. I think we're a ways away from something like that. And I like what you said with AI needs to, it basically complements your business. That's what we use it for. It's a educational resource, because when you're out in the field and you're on the go and you have questions and you need specific answers or assistance, because you are either just one person or you have a smaller team. So that's what we've used it for, is to complement the FM Flow software with scheduling, appointments, reminders. Hey, enter this information. Hey, what's the best type of paint to use on this wall? And it will, but again, it only knows enough of what you tell it to know. And that's where the human side comes in, where it's like, look, this is, a good product for these reasons, but double check with your rep, make sure, this is really what you should be using. Look at all the environmental, what's going on around you. And while we do recommend this, go ahead and make sure that is really what you should be using. Look at the warranty, look at the label. And so it's just a complement, and it's there to help our homeowners, right, customers. It's there to help the owners of the businesses with getting enough information and resources at their fingertips while just using the system, right? You're not having to Google it and ask a gazillion questions. It is built in to assist you.
Right. I think if proper AI use as an exoskeleton, mm-hmm. Basically it's a wrapper around you or your mind that gives it greater strength, greater dexterity, greater flexibility, greater speed of movement, simplifying things around you, but it does not replace the individual inside. And not in its current stage.
Yeah, no, that I feel that's spot on. That's exactly. You explained it probably way better than I have with people. It's going to replace my job. I'm I hope not. If it's smarter than you, then there's a problem. it's there to help you. And like,
well, because we're in the service environment, and I think we're probably one of the more defensible environments. But I'll give you two good examples that I've been able to use to try and, because even though my kids roll their eyes at me, I'm still planting seeds left and right. Someday they're going to come back and say, I heard you.
Yeah.
Grocery stores. We no longer have an attendant or a checker at every financial transaction. It just no longer exists. Mm-hmm. This last year we went skiing, and the year before there were a small army of people with little scanners scanning lift tickets to see if your ticket was valid for today. Mm-hmm. And now they're all RFID chips, and the resorts have put in these like basic toll booths, and you have to scan your card with the RFID chip in it. That instantly knows if that ticket is valid for today or not.
Interesting.
And while they had the cost and the expense of that one installation, they no longer have to employ a small army of people that might make mistakes, that might not show up, that may not be as efficient as just simply scanning your card and moving through the system.
Yeah, I mean, we use that. Did you guys build in a call center? Was that part of your AI? Yeah, I mean, and we looked at that too, because the interesting thing with that, the pros and the cons, is the efficiency when you're talking to a system versus a person, the margin for error, typos, did I get the date right? Did I accidentally put it in wrong? I see that all the time. And so I like this because this is just like that, those pieces are automated. We built ours in, it's a little bit more fun, like fun facts and conversational and things. I'm so excited. I don't know if Zach showed you it yet or not, but
just told me it was up and rolling. That's all I know.
Yeah.
That part of it I like because it just helps move things along, like you said, but sometimes people still need help or have additional questions. And so there's always a person to help think through whatever AI didn't or couldn't think through.
Yeah, well, one of the benefits that we had in building ours was we had a bandwidth problem. I mean, we had 8 individuals paid a full-time salary, and what happens when you have the 9th call? That person goes on hold.
Yeah.
Or the fire alarm in the building's going off, and so the ability to just flip it over because there's some sort of environmental issue, like all of those things are awesome. It doesn't mean that I want to get rid of those 8 individuals. I still want the human element, and they take the first 8 calls. Mm-hmm. But if they're, especially as you're building a system or an organization like a franchise, you need scalable solutions. And hiring somebody at 40 or 50 grand a year, and as soon as you hit a bandwidth problem, just adding another piece to the payroll, like that's not nearly as scalable if you can build an intelligent system.
I'll have to send you over the link so you can play with it a little bit. Love your input. Love your input on it. Let's talk about some of the ownership, right? Like we've talked about how they can utilize the tools, what's going on with the economy. What are budgeting, right? You just kind of brought that up too. So what are some practical steps that owners can take to integrate technology without huge budgets?
I think the very first step and probably the most critical in my opinion isn't a particular app or system. It's a mindset. To be a student, to constantly be looking for ways to improve and get better, whatever tool we infuse, whether it's QuickBooks agents who are then going to help you reconcile your books instead of a bookkeeper at $35 an hour. Okay. Whether it's estimating tools, whether it's just a quick search, you get an AI overview on what the best paint is for a particular wall. Mm-hmm. If you didn't have a system like FM Flow, but those are elements that can help streamline things. So it's whatever task you find doing repeatedly. There's probably a tool out there that can assist or that can take some of that busy work. You should never trust it, like you said, kind of the trust but verify.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's some process, I don't know, paperwork or purchase orders or, whatever it might be, if there's something that you have to do 20 times a week and it takes you 4 hours, it doesn't mean that you can just suddenly forget it. You might still have to spend a half hour reviewing the work that's been done or automated. But now you're only spending that half hour instead of the 4 hours. Unless you're a builder, unless you genuinely understand programming, just reconcile the fact that despite whatever YouTube video you just saw, you don't need to build your own application. There are plenty of people before you who have gone through the refinement process. Pay them their $20 a month and use their expertise and the continual improvements and upkeep.
Yeah.
That's something I struggle with. Is I'm kind of like a builder by nature, so I instantly think that I can do it better, or that I can rework it.
Yeah.
And that has cost me a ton of time and money in life.
I will ask. I'm the risk person, right? Like I'm the one that has to build the ideas. And Zach probably has he's got 100 ideas. And so he'll come to me and say, what about this idea? And I'm always thinking through the process. So when people come to me and they say, hey, I want this button, or I want FM Flow to do this, or can it do this? I have them walk me through the steps and say, okay, help me understand why and how do we get there? And it's kind of fun because they'll go, oh, okay, it already does it this way. Yeah, okay. So I love the idea, but it's do we need 3 steps to get to this one? And so I think through, you just need me, okay? Every time that you got an idea, just come to me and I'll shut you down. I'll put a stop to those ideas. But when you have a good one, I'll let you know. But no, I think I love that. Look for the repeatable things. We do that, right? Where the invoices, the automations, the payments, everything going out to the customers. And so you don't have to sit down. I remember going to a handful of pro shows this year, and one of the things that kept coming up was, I'm out there, doing the work, but my wife, she's doing all the accounting and the QuickBooks and all these things. And I was like, cool, wife, what if you didn't have to sit down and type up an invoice and send it out every single time? And their eyes get big and okay, we do that for you. So let me take away the administrative work that you're doing. And husband, she's gonna go get her nails done now. And so of course the women love this because I'm like, let her go, have a little bit of time. You guys can hang out with the kids now. You can make dinner without stressing out because the system is doing these things for you, like you said. And you might just log into your QuickBooks, make sure all of your books are in order, and that's all you need to do versus all that busy work. So I like that you said that. Look for the repeatable.
An easy example that isn't AI, but it articulates it, is the appointment reminders when a job's coming up or when we're on our way.
Yep, we do that too, and those are huge.
But 6, 7, 8 years ago, that was innovative. That was unique. Yeah. And now it's every day. Now all those systems and processes are automated. This is just the next evolution. It's a little bit more in depth. It's a little bit deeper in your business. Yeah. But this is the evolution, and get on board or you're going to get left behind. And so you have to be open to these changes and these evolutions. Frankly, as a business owner, I don't care what industry you're in. If you're not open to innovation and change, you're not going to be in business very long.
Yeah, I mean, as a person that has a software company, I was reluctant to AI for a while because of all the hype, right? Until you sit down and dive into how can it complement our business and benefit, and I am all on board. I mean, there's so many neat things that we're building out that just the data that it will be able to produce for our users is, I'm really excited for it. It really will help the businesses have an understanding of where they're at in real time and generating all these different reports that they want. So how to build a culture that embraces innovation. So talking about these owners, they just need to start accepting it. How do you build that into your business? As a franchisor, culture is important. Getting everybody on board, that's kind of crazy. So it's tough. How?
Keep it within the simple confines of staying time appropriate. I think you have two pathways. The one that we utilized the most was to talk about future innovation up front. And it's not necessarily what we're going to innovate, it's that we're going to innovate. The phrase I used to use all the time is, we are going to shoot our shot. When the opportunity comes up, when we have a chance to do something that might be early, but has a good upside, just know we are the company that's going to evolve. We are going to change and stay up to date. We're going to be on the front of the train, not the back of it. And we're going to expect you to come along with us. And particularly with franchise owners, if they're joining Bloomin' or a company that says something like this, like they're born into it with that expectation and mentality. Just simply like, hey, before you come on board, you're committing to being adaptable.
I like that. You're committing to being adaptable. I mean, it sounds...
that's what...
Like, that sounds so common sense, but...
Right. There are so many things in life where you'd get it right if you had to answer it on a test, but then it's hard to execute when it's staring you in the face. And being adaptable is one of them.
Yeah. How would you have like a, not a franchisee, but just a typical business owner that's out there, now they're looking to scale and grow their business. Like, they're no longer having to do everything themselves. They're bringing on a team. What would you, I mean, it may be the same thing, like, okay, I'm growing and I expect you to grow with me. And part of that growth might be the service industry is an interesting place, right? Like, these guys are very reluctant. They're very set in their ways.
I think, because the service industry in general, whatever your widget is, the vast majority of your day-to-day activities are highly repeatable. I think it's, it may be a different room, but it's still the same process of painting it, right? There's still the prep, there's still the paint, there's still the finish out. When it comes time to grow, this kind of goes back to the adaptability, which would be the second way in which I would build it as a culture, is vocal celebration of those that are doing it right and the success that they're having from it. So whether it be an adaptation function or whether it be growth and scale, kind of championing those individuals and making sure that their story, both the highs and the lows, and how they did it and how they got over their fears and the benefit, or like the more you can, let's see how to say this. So someone who's reluctant to change, the more clearly you can illuminate the path forward, the more likely they are to walk. The darker that path forward is, the more mysterious, cloudy, unknown, that personality type is going to hesitate more. So by illuminating this is how you do it, this is a way that has worked, and this is what it took, and this is the ups and downs. And it's not that everything has to be sunshine and bright and shiny. It's just, if you're a person who hesitates in the unknown, even knowing it's going to be hard or tough or expensive or full of problems, you still know more. At least you know more than knowing nothing. And so it's not that every foreshadowing has to be positive. It just has to be descriptive.
I liked your perspective and one of the things that you say. Yesterday I talked about, taking that leap of faith, and, you're jumping, wind is in your hair, and a bird's probably going to hit you in the face on the way down, but, you're flying. So I was talking about business ownership. It's like, oh, this is magical. And then get struck with something. I speak in analogies too, but yours seem a little more clear than mine.
I like that. Yeah. So like being up in the air and flying, I use it as skydiving.
Yeah.
You ever gone skydiving?
I don't think I could. I love roller coasters, but I don't know if I could look at the ground getting closer to me.
Well, right. So to use this analogy, even if someone hasn't gone, like, I think we've all seen pictures of it. Like, you slide back the door, you look down, and like 50 acres looks like a postage stamp.
Yeah.
Right. But and you've been watching people float down all day long.
Yeah.
But today is your turn. You've got a parachute that should open like everyone else's has. You have someone strapped to your back, unless you're like experienced, but more often than not, you have a professional strapped to your back who knows what to do in emergency situations.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the choice. Are you going to swing your legs out and roll the dice, because every time is literally rolling the dice?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you going to put your legs back in and ride the plane back home? And that's starting a business. Is you've got professionals with you. It's worked dozens of times before, but when it's your turn to put your legs outside the plane, like, are you ready to go?
Yeah.
And that pit in your gut, that emotional, like, anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like, business owners of any type have to measure, how do you respond to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just muscle my way through it. I think. I don't know how many times we've talked about it, and I was like, my stomach is not happy, but I'm going to go to bed and wake up tomorrow and get to work.
I've told my girls, and again, these little seeds that I've planted, they're the seeds that I hope that turn into an orchard. Is run to the fire, not away from it.
It's still going to be there, and it's going to chase you if you run away from it.
Yes, it will chase you. Buffalo do this. When they see a storm, they turn and run straight towards the storm, because they know the faster they move towards it, especially if it's coming at them, right? Like, now you've got both forces working to shorten the time that you have to deal with this thing.
Yeah, the quicker it'll blow over.
Yeah, but those are all cultural analogies or mindsets that go into how we as a franchisor or organizational builders can help people maybe move past some of their natural self-limiting fears. Is these relatable analogies and examples of how do you get through that adversity?
Just run towards it.
But when you have adversity, is your natural reaction to run from it? Look at your life in the past. Have you ran from it, or have you ran towards it? Those that have naturally ran from it are not naturally going to be different tomorrow when they start a business.
Yeah.
No, that means you shouldn't start a business.
Yes. I remember Zach and I, when I first was meeting him, right? He asked me, he's like, Bailey, what are you running from? Or what are you running towards right now? And it was kind of interesting, because in my brain it was like the same situation popped up, whether I was running from it or towards it. And I was like, I'm doing both. Because like, I have to run towards this solution to get away from what's causing, right? Like, I need to put this behind me, so I need to run forward. So it was interesting. I like that analogy. Okay, are you ready for rapid fire?
Yes.
If you had to run a business with just one piece of technology, what would it be?
Oh, it would be the Google suite of services.
The one piece that does it all.
Yeah, well, and that's really why. I mean, I honestly think Google's probably going to win the AI war, because they have so much data and they have such rich abilities. They have such a broad landscape, but just the ability to look up information, ideas, needs. I think those are incredible benefits. Maybe, and this is the nerd in me, but this is my favorite thing to do right now, is to build on N8N, the experiment and the curiosity chasing. That's not really about business. I enjoy that more than anything right now. I geek out on that hard. So I'm not very good at it yet. I'm still entirely dependent on a chat to help me, but I've gotten pretty far and learned, some of the vocabulary, and I've found problems when the AI can't.
There you go.
Yeah, so I've done it enough that I now understand what I'm looking at.
I think if I were to pick something, a piece of technology that it would be like an administrative component, because it goes back to your whole thing of what do you do over and over again? And I look at our industry and what do we not have time to do? So it would be like a scheduling assistant, but like legitimate I need help, right? Like, and which is one thing that we're building, and that I'm extremely excited for, because I look at it on what, it's so funny because Zach and I have our whole opinions of what do people need. And then I look at like the day-to-day, and it comes down to people need the administrative help. So I'm excited for that piece. I don't know if that's out. If I had to do a different piece of technology, it'd probably be accounting.
Yeah, so I've never been in charge of the administrative side of any business that I've been a part of.
So yeah, yours is totally different.
Yeah, I'm violently allergic to all those processes. I'm your sales and marketing guy. I'm not your admin, operations. Like, operations makes me nauseous.
That's my world.
Good for you.
That's why I'm COO, operations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so mine would be any tool that helps me daydream better and faster.
Oh no, that's rough. That's where I gotta, nope, no ideas.
Chris had a really good, because Chris is kind of an ops guy. He's a very creative ops guy, but he used the analogy once that, like, I was the sail and he was the anchor.
Oh.
And the idea is that, it was said in a healthy, balanced way, but, it's like, as the dreamer, as the one that kind of like always wants to go, 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 you need that engine that pushes, but then you also need a throttle control. You need some way to steer the boat or slow it down when you need to focus on something. And you need that dichotomy, or, either nothing gets done because you're moving too slow, or nothing gets done because you can't finish the first thing you started because you're on to the next thing.
Well, there's a podcast, or it was with Bezos. I don't know if you saw it, or it was an Instagram reel or something that was going out, where Bezos was told by his team, is like, look, you have enough ideas to ruin Amazon and enough ideas to make it a great company. And he was like, oh, shoot, and I think that's where you're right. It's like, okay, when we need to innovate, we can, but when we need to not, like, we have to have a stopping point, somebody to pull us back in and say, okay, like, let's focus on this one thing right now.
My superpower is coming up with ideas. It is not finishing them.
We need those people, though. See, my superpower is I'm not very creative, but once the idea is there, I'm the executor. So, and I'll find the team to make it happen.
That's typically why some of the most successful companies have an incredible CEO, the visionary, and then they have an incredible COO, the executor. And when you get those two humming in unison and collaborate and respect each other's position, then that can really push things very, very far, very, very fast.
Another rapid fire, which we didn't really rapid fire through that first one. We got to do better. Okay. And this doesn't have to be business related with these questions. Okay. What app can you not live without?
Facebook, because I love scrolling Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my gosh. That's such a bad habit.
It's addictive. I love it. I don't buy a damn thing off there, but I don't even go through like the feed. If I open up Facebook, all I go is to Marketplace.
That's so funny. I don't think I've looked at Facebook Marketplace like ever. Okay, most overrated buzzword in the industry right now.
Agent.
Oh.
Yeah, just that. Again, it's still selling the story that this computer program can do everything for you.
Yeah.
So that, or the M dashes, or the word clarity. Like, if those two things, I've tried so hard to train my custom GPTs to get rid of both of those things. Never use the word clarity and never use the M dash. I actually read an article yesterday that like nobody knows why those M dashes, that little dash that it uses so much. Nobody, even like, engineers at OpenAI, nobody knows why they're so prolifically used by AIs. And the word clarity. Quit systems and clarity. Quit using those phrases, for the love of God.
Okay, I love that. Noted. Do not make anything clear. Okay.
Well, there's got to be other ways to say it. It's not the word clarity.
Oh, have clarity. Just don't say it. Um, okay. What is one small change any owner can make this month?
Improve your financial intelligence some way, somehow.
Okay.
This was something that, before I stepped away from the day-to-day at Bloomin', this was something that we had spent probably the last year on, is realizing that most people in business have a relatively low financial IQ.
Well, because they're starters, they're not necessarily business owners. They needed, right? Like they were good at something and they could make money from it, so they started to do it. But then managing the business, that's the difficult part.
It is, and it's a different language.
Yeah.
And it's not a language. Again, it's no longer taught in schools. The whole concept of balancing your checkbook and how to understand money. This is your responsibility as an adult and as a business owner. You have to stay a student and understand the money. That's why I can see some of these headwinds show up before most, because I am constantly trying to learn what's going on a financial sense, because it controls, our worlds so significantly as business operators. So yeah, that's one thing that all of us can get better at, is improve your financial intelligence.
Okay. What is one thing you're most looking forward to this coming year?
After 23 years of building Bloomin' Blinds, I now have something new to play with. Still, by being in the franchise industry, kind of being that franchise consultant, connecting people with brands, it's a whole new opportunity. It's something new to sink my teeth into, a new skill to master. It pushes on some of my fears that I have to conquer, which is really nice, because at Bloomin', I felt like I was good at everything because I'd done it for so long. Yeah. And it wasn't so much the challenge that I really like to be in. So making some proactive changes to improve my world, to enjoy my life, honestly, this was probably April, May. Like, I began to really hold on to the idea that, like, this is my life and I have every right to live it however I want to. I wasn't chasing my dreams because I felt like I had obligations to other people that were holding me back. And some of those obligations I volunteered for, some of them were placed upon me, but every trip around the sun, I wasn't in love with what I was doing every morning. And I think the faster we can all look at it and say, okay, look, if I'm excited about what I'm doing today, I'm doing the right thing. If I'm not excited about it, I'm probably doing the wrong thing. And we forget, because of those ruts, that you have choices. We all forget that we have choices. And you have one life. You get one, unless you think you're coming back as a cow or something, but like, you have one life.
Yeah.
And I want to try and encourage everyone to chase every dream that they think is possible, because you get one crack at this. That's it.
It starts to set in. Okay, so you're going on it. What's one piece of advice you'd give to listeners? And it doesn't have to be about business. I feel like you were kind of going down the right path here, but if there's anything else you'd want to say.
Approach life with the curiosity of an 8-year-old. 8-year-olds don't tell you why it can't happen. They want to know, if dinosaurs eat popsicles on the moon, would it melt?
Yeah.
Right? Like
they got imaginations.
Yeah, and they haven't bounced into these self-limiting concepts. And they still just see the whole world as opportunity and possibility and what if and maybe. And as we get older, we fall away from that. And that's a shame, but it's a lot of fun. The more you try and push yourself in that direction, life becomes way more enjoyable. So live your life with the curiosity of an 8-year-old.
Aw, I love that. I love it. Okay, well, that's all I had for you as far as rapid fire and everything else to go through. Anything else you want to share?
I would just say, if anyone happens to turn this into a mind map, I'd really like to see how that thing looks like, because it's got to be twisted in 7 different ways.
I feel like it's all over the place, the two of us. Oh man. Well, thank you for your time, and I loved your feedback and your insight on everything. It's a lot of fun just to get different perspectives especially in this industry that I'm working in every day, and you've got like a nerd brain like me, so it's great to hear other nerds. Just want to say thank you.
Thanks, Bailey. Appreciate it.
Yeah.